Democracy depends on a free press. Please support our independent journalism at democracynow.org/give. Dozens of people have been killed in the worst fighting between India and Pakistan in more than 2 decades, following a deadly attack last month on Indian tourists in Indian-administered Kashmir. Early today, India attacked 9 locations in Pakistan and Pakistan-administered Kashmir, killing at least 26 people, including a child. Dozens were wounded. Pakistan called the attacks an act of war and responded by shelling areas of Kashmir under Indian control. India says the Pakistani shelling has killed at least 15 people. Pakistan claims to have shot down at least 2 Indian fighter jets. Tensions have been soaring between the 2 nuclear-armed nations since April 22nd, when gunmen massacred 26 tourists in Indian-administered Kashmir in a rampage that India blamed on Pakistan. For now, we go to London, where we're joined by Mirza Waheed, award-winning Kashmiri journalist and novelist. His books include The Collaborator, The Book of Gold Leaves, and most recently, Tell Her Everything. His recent Guardian piece is headlined, "A Massacre Has Reignited the Forever War Between India and Pakistan. Once more, Kashmiri voices are missing." Well, they're not missing here, Mirza Waheed. So if you can start off by talking about what's at stake right now and give us the progression of what took place. First, the attack on Indian tourists in Indian-administered Pakistan and India-administered Kashmir and what that means.
Thank you for having me. Those killings were reprehensible, and it was a massacre of Indian tourists in a pristine, really idyllic meadow in Pahalgam, where I lived as a child. And it's a very gorgeous and beautiful place. And those killings were shocking, obviously, and condemnable, reprehensible, and that is the main trigger for this, recent escalation now, because soon after the killings, there was obviously outrage in India, in the public, in the media, across the society and the political classes, and we very soon we heard big clamor for war, especially in the media. There's a lot of pressure to strike on targets in Pakistan, and it was kind of. We knew it was happening. Obviously, one hoped it shouldn't happen, it wouldn't happen, but that's what's happened now. And in many ways, this is an old war. This is a very, very old war, and not as old as the American president believes it to be, not centuries old, but about 75 years old. My grandfather saw the first India-Pakistan war in 1948. My father saw the wars in 1965 and 1971. And then in 1999, the limited war over Kargil. And I have seen 1999 and now this recent, the latest escalation. This is a dangerous escalation. It's a dangerous intensification because, as your preview said, people have been killed on both sides of the border. Almost all of them civilians. That has to be emphasized and noted. That people who've been killed in the shelling are all civilians. And as we speak, in the borderlands between Indian and Pakistani-administered Kashmir, people are hiding in makeshift bunkers, in underground shelters. Some of them are kind of contemplating leaving. The main airport in Kashmir is sealed off, as are other airports in some parts of northern India. There's a huge amount of fear in the public, and this is that old thing, isn't it? When elephants fight, it's the grass that gets trampled upon. So Kashmiris have been kind of in the middle for a long time now, and it fills me with despair as a Kashmiri person, as a writer, as someone who's kind of thought about it and written about it. It fills me with a lot of despair, and I'm upset about the killings in Pahalgam, about the subsequent clampdown in Kashmir, where thousands of people were arrested, houses of families who are linked to Kashmiri militants demolished, And now these strikes and the counter-offensive from Pakistan. So I'm really, really upset. And I didn't sleep last night because you were worried. We didn't know what we're going to see in the morning.
And Mirza Waheed, you mentioned that this has a long history, that there have been numerous conflicts over in past decades. But at the heart of it, why has it been so difficult to resolve, and why have the Kashmiris fallen under both a Pakistan-administered territory and India-administered territory?
I'm going to try and give a basic sort of primer on history. See, we go back to the partition. India and Pakistan become modern nation states. Kashmir is left unresolved. Soon they begin their first war over Kashmir in 1948, which is then brought to an end through UN mediation. There's a ceasefire. In fact, it's an interesting thing. I must note the line of control that divides two parts of Kashmir right now was actually called a ceasefire line, a CFL, which came into existence soon after the first war I mentioned in 1948. And then it was formalized and renamed as line of control in 1972 after India-Pakistan fought another war, which resulted in the creation of Bangladesh. So they have fought these wars, and it's very clear. I mean, they have fought over Kashmir historically, all my life and my father's life. And there's three generations of Kashmiris and Indians and Pakistanis who have kind of grown old or under this threat of war. It kind of there's relative periods of peace between the two countries, and then something will bring about a fresh escalation, right? As the attacks in Pahalgam have done. They haven't been able to solve Kashmir. India kind of has in recent years claimed that it's kind of brought Kashmir to normalcy, but this doesn't look like normalcy to me. There's the fighter planes. Pakistan claims it's kind of brought down fighter planes. India has hit. This is also unprecedented because India has hit targets inside Pakistan. In previous escalations, previous conflicts, they would hit targets inside Pakistan-administered Kashmir, all of Kashmir, being a disputed territory. But this time they have gone into targets inside Punjab, inside interior Pakistan, which is what I cited as a very, very dangerous intensification.
And how has the leadership of Prime Minister Narendra Modi affected relations between Pakistan and India? His increasingly nationalist stand in India.
Yes, it is a different regime than previous regimes. They are more open to armed response, which we have seen. And they believe, and they say they had a presser where they said that they have responded in retaliation to the attack in Pahalgam, as they did in 2019 when there was an attack on an Indian paramilitary convoy in Kashmir, in South Kashmir, in which about more than 40 Indian paramilitary troopers were killed. And then there was a strike in Balakot, which is in Pakistan-administered Kashmir. But this time they have kind of gone inside Pakistan. The Indian government claims that they have resolved Kashmir. By which I mean they, in 2019, they revoked Kashmir's limited autonomy under the law, under Indian dominion, and said now tourists are coming, it's returned to normalcy, the economy is looking up, and Kashmir is normal. But it is not normal, because what happens is, you see, you can't impose solutions. You can impose order. You can impose law and order. You can't impose peace. And it's clear that this is imposed peace, and it's now, blown wide apart. And I really, really worry. And until they solve Kashmir, my worry is that it's going to come back to haunt the two countries again and again. And nobody wants that. Nobody wants that. Least of all, the Kashmiri people. They're tired. They are tired of the enormous, enormous suffering they have seen over the last 30, 40 years. Thousands and thousands of Kashmiris have been killed. And people in India and Pakistan, they've been killed. And it's in nobody's, interest for this conflict to continue to claim lives like this. And, I was thinking earlier that I really miss the old days when people used to be opposed to war and warmongering. But now I also want to kind of point out that we're now at a point in history where, you see, back in the day, we used to look up to the United States and Britain and Europe, and because phone calls would be expected to be made to the leadership in India and Pakistan, urging restraint, urging people, calmer minds to prevail, and so on and so forth. But now that order is collapsed, post-Gaza, it is collapsed. I don't think the Americans and the Brits have the same legitimacy. I mean, not they had much back in the day, but there was at least the semblance of this expectation that phone calls would be made from London and Washington to urge restraint. But I don't think they have the same legitimacy and same influence as they have.
We just have 30 seconds. These are two nuclear-armed nations. The final comment on the significance of this.
Solve Kashmir. The two countries have to solve Kashmir. Otherwise, they'll keep they'll stay engaged in this forever war.
Mirza Waheed, I want to thank you so much for being with us. Journalist and award-winning Kashmiri novelist. We'll link to your recent piece, A Massacre Has Reignited the Forever War Between India and Pakistan. Once more, Kashmiri voices are missing. Democracy Now! Is funded by viewers like you. Please give today at democracynow.org/give.